Hey guys, TARDIS here for another episode of my TARDIS tutorial. In this episode, what will we be covering? Well, something rather interesting that again, kind of like last episode. Well, no, it's completely different to what I did last episode, but it fulfills the same purpose, just adding some more like realism, I guess, to the TARDIS. Totally different concept though. Okay, so I'll show you how this works first because I've already built it. So what we need to do is just do some dematerialize. So put in the coolant, lock the doors, and dematerialize. And the first part of this is walk over here, and it'll actually, now you'll kind of see like space or something, or the time vortex, I guess, outside, which I'm pretty sure that's what a certain comment was talking about a while back. I had one asking for me to add the time vortex. Now, for a long time I was like, what is this person even talking about? But I added this. It's just a visual effect. It really doesn't add much of anything unless you're actually looking out the door. But the big thing I added today, if the Reapers don't interrupt us, let's hope they don't, is if I unlock the door while in flight, what do you expect to happen? Well, you just kind of have like space and time vortex-y stuff outside, so yeah, as with any time, there's an unlocked door in space. So as with any door that's open or unlocked in space, I'm gonna get sucked outside, so let's give it a whirl. Unlock the door, and yeah, a bunch of stuff happened in the chat just then. So TARDIS unlocked. That's what I did. I unlocked it, and I got sucked outside, so it said, no TARDIS pilot found, initiating an emergency landing. It locked the door back, and then materialized, and then I died, and then it unlocked, emergency landing complete. So, yeah, and as you can see, here's the TARDIS here, back at the spawn point. Why? Because just if you're in the middle of traveling, I figured, like, and then you accidentally open the door and you get sucked out for the sake of realism, yeah, you're kind of going to be without your TARDIS. It'll be like either be somewhere else or maybe it'll still be here, just dematerialized. Either way, it's going to be a pain in the butt to get back in your TARDIS, if not impossible, just depending on the situation. So, yeah, basically in a nutshell, yeah, so it's kind of like a three-part thing. One, the visual effect of looking out the door, and then getting sucked out, and then the emergency landing part, which just gets the TARDIS back to the spawn so that you can go back into it after you've died. So, yeah. How was all this done? Well, I'll switch to creative and I'll show you. Yeah, logically speaking, the first thing I want to show you is in here in materialization. So we head down here and yeah, still pretty complex, but what we're looking for is over here at the main kind of thing. So this is when you pull the lever, dematerialize. You'll know this from previous videos, but kind of the deal is that when you dematerialize, one of the things it'll do now is set that block at the door just right above where the pressure plate is, the end gateway. And if you noticed, I actually moved the door back slightly, just so that all you could see is that end gateway, because otherwise you could like still see the pressure plate and it kind of ruined the illusion. So yeah, I did that, and then I just had this command that runs when you dematerialize, sets an end gateway right there, and then when you rematerialize, it'll invert and it'll set air in that spot instead. So yeah, there's the first part, and then the second and third part have their own dedicated area. So it's all the way over here, time vortex, and I mean, yeah, it's not a ton, but it's a little bit. So this is the start of the system. So we have this another AND gate, kind of like last episode, and it's testing for two things: if the comparators in, well, compare mode. And yeah, basically that just means if it's unlocked, which it currently is, but also it's looking for if the TARDIS is dematerialized. Because if you dematerialize and your TARDIS is locked or unlocked, then it'll power this on, bringing signal all the way over here to these two repeating command blocks. This one will give you the wither effect, just kind of simulate, I guess, suffocation. It doesn't have to be a very high wither effect, it could be less than this even. Especially since it has the repeat, so you could even make it be any amount of time you wanted, really. And it'll also teleport you to somewhere, and that somewhere is right here. You can see if we just walk in here, it's just a room of end gateway, pretty much, so that everywhere you look, it just looks like you're in space. And that's the idea. You've basically been sucked out into the time vortex is the idea, so yeah, it'll teleport you in there and you'll start dying, which makes sense, and then two things will start happening. This will start going off slowly but surely, and after a few seconds it'll kill you, as you saw. But then it obviously would need to reset the TARDIS, as we saw, so I did all this. So, say no pilot found, initiating emergency landing, and then execute an overworld run, TP TARDIS demat to those coordinates. That's exactly the same command we'd use just normally teleporting the TARDIS to the spawn point or wherever you want it to go for the emergency landing. And then put a repeater, so this is slightly after. And slightly after that, you want it to set a lever. I believe this replaces the materialization lever. So basically just replace that exact same lever facing the same way, unpowered of course. That'll rematerialize the TARDIS. The next thing is to set block back the comparator, which will be in subtract mode, basically just meaning it'll relock the door, and then after a second it will actually change it back to compare mode, basically unlocking the door. And then after that, the final thing, it'll just say emergency landing complete. So yeah, this is the entire system, and I'll just show you it one last time. It's pretty cool to show it in survival, honestly. So I do not have water. Oh, look at that, water. Totally didn't cheat that in. So yeah, let's lock the door, dematerialize. Good, but then slip up, make a mistake, whoop, and oh no. And yeah, now the TARDIS is back here. So yeah, that is all for this episode. A somewhat short one, but I feel it was kind of a good one. So yeah, I have been Tbo2. Be sure to subscribe to check out my Instagram, Tbo2YT. And yeah, that is all. Till the next time, goodbye.